Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I bought XRP today in my Uphold account. Uphold is one of my sponsors. They do staking, which I haven't participated in this yet, but I was looking at it today. They've got a lot more staking going on than I thought they did. So I was going to look into it a little bit, but I did buy XRP today. I do think I am extremely bullish on everything, and the John Deaton motion was filed today, and let me tell you what, it is what's the right word? You realize how stupid the whole SEC thing is. I mean, almost when you see how ridiculous the SEC's position is in all of this, and the idea of calling XRP itself a security. It screams of this purely, like John's always said, it screams of this purely having been filed just as a weapon to waste time. I mean, who pays for that? You know, Ripple spent over $100 million, and the real question is, what are the damages to the people that are responsible for this? And I think Brad Garlinghouse has made a comment about that in some of his tweets. Who pays for that? Against the backdrop of everybody that we know, what are the repercussions for Gary Gensler? What are the repercussions for Bill Hinman and Jay Clayton and all of those that were involved in filing this that quit right after they filed it? Because this was used as a weapon. What are the repercussions? People should be real pissed off. Okay, it's Halloween, and I just wanted to show you this picture. Somebody's having an XRP Halloween. Also wanted to show you this. I think you have to have a subscription to Washington Post. I wouldn't waste my money, but I do like the title, because if the treasuries fall apart, it's all over, folks. They're gonna have to roll this into a new system. Tremors in treasury bonds worry Wall Street and Washington. The same people that created the problem, it worries them. This guy says, warning, tremors in treasuries. But the official cool guy says the treasury is all that matters, and he's on the bus. And the bus is left, or not the bus, the train, and the train has left the station. All right, I wanted to show you this. This is a red file thing. You know, we've been seeing a lot about Sam Bankman-Fried. Remember, his parents are both Stanford professors, right? I just thought of this today. You know, it's crazy. You remember this was like a podcast that Brad Garlinghouse did at Stanford with Joseph Grunfest, who's also a Stanford professor. And I was seeing all this Sam Bankman-Fried stuff going around. And someone had mentioned that both his parents were at Stanford. And I said, you know what? That reminds me of that podcast where Brad Garlinghouse is doing that podcast at Stanford with Joseph Grunfest. I said, there was a guy there and there was a woman there, and I wonder if either one of them were Sam Bankman-Fried's parents. Turns out one of them was. That, my friends, is Sam Bankman-Fried's father. He goes by Joseph Bankman, Joe Bankman. Then I saw this, I showed this in my last video. Emi Yoshikawa, she was talking about the Wall Street Journal Ripple ad. And again, I asked the same question, because my dad was in the home building business for 20 or 30 years when I was growing up. And he did a lot of advertising, but one thing he never did is advertised his business in an area that he couldn't do business. In other words, if he was building houses in so-and-so town, he would advertise in that town. He would not advertise 5 towns over. Well, so my question is still the same. Why is Ripple advertising in the Wall Street Journal in the United States, where they cannot do business in ODL? Unless they either can do business and there's a settlement we don't know about, or they think that they're about to be able to do business. That is my question. Now, Stefan Huber has knocked it out of the park again. I remember when Hester Pierce did this article back in 2019, but I don't think until we had discovered ETHgate, I don't think any of us could have seen it for what it was. This is Hester Pierce, SEC Secret Garden remarks at SEC Speaks, okay? This was, I guess, a speech that she gave. Now, let's see what and then there was an article that somebody wrote on it. Is the SEC creating secret law for crypto? SEC Commissioner Hester Pierce worries that the SEC's opacity and lack of accountability might be creating a fatal competitive disadvantage for startups. Folks, if you know anything about ETHgate at this point, you know that the plan, Lowell Ness, Andreessen Horowitz attorney, said that this was all, because he wrote the safe harbor, what they wanted to do was get Bitcoin and Ethereum out from under securities laws. And then I inserted this part, and after piecing it all together, and it took us a year and a half to do so, after piecing it all together, I said, this is very obvious what went on here. They wanted to create a monopoly in crypto for Bitcoin and Ethereum. And the idea was you slam the door. Once you get those two through, then you can build DeFi on Ethereum. You got a monopoly on DeFi, and you also have a monopoly on token issuance. And so you have the equivalent of what JP Morgan got in that room in Jekyll Island when the Federal Reserve was created. You've got a money printing machine where you have a monopoly on money if you do that. What they did not count on is they did not count on anybody discovering ETHgate. And this is everything, folks, because if we had not, this is what a lot of people don't understand. All these guys that are all these people that are working on behalf of crypto up in Congress, what they don't get, some of them do get it. What they don't understand is none of them would even be there working on crypto legislation if we had not discovered ETHgate. That was what got the ball rolling, because half of the people that were involved in ETHgate, they said, uh-oh, they figured out what we were trying to do. And the other half of the people realized what they were trying to do maybe and said, okay. Then you had people like Andreessen Horowitz. All of a sudden, when for 3 years they weren't worried about legislation, all of a sudden they were, okay? That's what happened. That's the fact, Jack. And the secret gardens, I believe Hester Pierce right here was referring to what they had tried to do. Stefan Huber actually replied to his own tweet. He highlighted a portion of what she said, and she says, does access to our markets depend on hiring counsel that has access to the non-public views of the staff? I believe she's directly referring to what John Deaton has referenced before, which was that Joseph Lubin hired the right attorney, and that is what set all the ball rolling here. And I don't think they ever thought that anybody would figure it out. But guess what? The XRP community did figure it out. John Deaton helped us figure it out. So today, John Deaton has filed his brief, and this is from John right here. He says, dedicated to XRP holders, it truly is decentralized community brief, and decentralized justice is what brought us here, folks. Lord knows what would have happened if we had social media back when the Federal Reserve was formed. Maybe we wouldn't have been living underneath this money printing machine, fiat money printing monopoly for all these bankers. We might not even be living under this if that had been discovered what they were doing back then. And remember, they all went on separate train cars to Jekyll Island. The representatives of JP Morgan and Rockefeller and all these rich people, they went on separate train cars. In the book, they actually wrote a book, but they waited however many years later until it was too late to stop it and the legislation had already gone through. Only then did they write the book. Well, in this case, the XRP community members, we wrote the ETHgate book, and we did it publicly right in front of Congress and right in front of all the people that matter. And for that reason, we changed the game. And John Deaton's about to finish them off. Okay? So here we go. Here's his, this is his letter and his brief. And what I did is I just found several people who had pulled out great snippets, and I'm going to show you their snippets, and we'll leave it at that today, and I'm sure more will come out in the next little bit. This is Ashley Prosper. Ironically, the chairman of the SEC, prior to becoming chairman, publicly described XRP as a bridge currency. XRP is a better version of Bitcoin and thus should be treated no differently under U.S. securities laws. And by the way, folks, I hope that someday that Lowell Ness is forced to be in front of a microphone and that somebody says to him, what were you guys really up to? Is that what you were doing? Were you really trying to get Bitcoin and Ethereum out from under securities laws? What was your plan for the other digital assets, Lowell? I think he deserves to have to answer that question. And then there's this. Ashley Prosper did a lot, explaining that the XRP Uphold debit card will be accepted globally wherever MasterCard is accepted. This means that digital assets like XRP and Bitcoin are now available to Visa's large customer base to conduct transactions without having to convert crypto to fiat or actually having to withdraw the crypto from an exchange. XRP debit cards provided by MasterCard and Visa would not exist if XRP wasn't considered a currency or medium of exchange. Then there's this. SEC Commissioner Grunfest, the SEC Chairman Clayton Grunfest letter stating no exigency exists for filing this case, warning it will cause substantial harm to innocent XRP holders of XRP, that the SEC has offered no material distinction between Ether and XRP, that XRP and Ether should be treated similarly, that stating that the mass exodus immediately following the filing of this case by every senior staffer responsible for bringing the case calls into question the exercise of commission discretion. And then there was this. In October 2020, the SEC informed the public that it had not determined XRP to be a security and that it may never do so. And these were in some emails that came out, I guess. In other words, 2 months before this case was filed and prior to the mass exodus of every senior staffer responsible for this major enforcement decision, XRP was treated no differently than Bitcoin and Ether. That's in the Grunfest letter too. Then there's this. Coinbase met with the SEC, and this is all from John Deaton's thing. I mean, Gary Gensler might need to have an extra drink or two tonight. He might need to have an extra glass of warm milk or two tonight. Coinbase met with the SEC and informed the SEC of Coinbase's determination that XRP was not a security and intended to list XRP immediately unless the SEC disagreed. The SEC offered no disagreement because Coinbase listed XRP the next month and arguably began promoting XRP and XRP's unique utility on a much greater scale than the defendants ever did. Then there was this is from Digital Perspectives. The token itself is never a security. Stripped down, XRP is just computer code. Claiming the token itself as the security is akin to calling oranges in Howey securities. In Telegram, the court made it clear that the central issue in Howey and Telegram was not the underlying product agreement or the underlying asset. The court confirmed that the underlying asset, whether oranges or digital tokens, are not themselves investment contracts. This just pisses me off reading all this. Single site, and to any, notably missing at the end of that sentence is a single site to any precedent or authority supporting such an inimitable, that's a new word, claim. Amici and likely the SEC itself have no idea what that sentence means under the law. The SEC's theory is the equivalent of arguing individual oranges were not oranges, but also represented the investment contract with W.J. Howey Company. The SEC's theory would be a bit amusing if innocent XRP holders weren't being severely harmed. And then there's this one. XRP purchaser affidavits withdraw their paychecks in XRP because XRP is utilized as a substitute for fiat currency. Included in the purchaser affidavits are international XRP holders being paid in XRP, living in Japan, Switzerland, Singapore, UAE, and United Kingdom. In every one of those countries, XRP was evaluated by foreign regulators and declared a currency, not a security. And then Crypto Law did an excerpt too. The SEC asked this court to validate the shorthand and analytically lazy contention that Ripple has engaged in functional equivalent of a 9-year-long ongoing, and that Each and every sale of XRP from anywhere in the world offered by anyone, including Amici, was, is, always has been, and always will be the offer and sale of a security. The SEC's XRP theory is so far-fetched, it travels through space and time into the future, capturing all possible future sales. Even in faraway lands, the scope of the SEC's Howey argument has become so stretched that it is truly indefinable in space or in time. I'm not going to read any more, folks, but this makes me furious because when you read this, it's like Jeremy Hogan had said that the only way the judge could rule in SEC's favor is to have skipped the first year of law school. Folks, this was intentional. The lawsuit itself was the weapon. And people like Jay Clayton and Bill Hinman and all of those people who left and helped to get this thing filed and then left, where is their accountability? Those people need to be held accountable. This is disgusting. The whole thing is a farce. And these people, something needs to be done. And I'm not a lawyer. I'm not an attorney. I don't know how this can be handled. But somebody needs to pay for what's been done. Because these people that did this, they did this knowing, because Grunfest sent them that letter. Jay Clayton did this knowing how it was going to hurt XRP holders, and he did it anyway. And CNBC has spent the last 3 years, instead of holding him accountable, they hire him to be a contributor on their channel. These people are sick. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe. Hit the like button, subscribe, do all that. Tell your friends and family that the digital asset investor is pissed off. I get pissed off just looking at this. Knowing what I know now, someone in this country needs to start being held accountable. This is sick for the future of our kids. This is sick what's happened to this country. These people are twisted sickos. These people were literally up there at the SEC. Their primary job is to protect United States investors. And they told the United States investors to piss off and flicked us all the bird, thinking that we're all too stupid to piece together what they did. And guess what? They never counted on the community out here. They never counted on John Deaton, and these people are sick. They ought to be ashamed of themselves, but they're not. So instead, somebody ought to hold them accountable.